The reason why you're stress eating right now is because subconsciously you believe that you are this kind of person who stress eats. The real change comes from you becoming the type of person who doesn't use food for comfort. I used to think that eating a whole pack of chocolate biscuits or a whole bag of chips was the only way to make myself feel better whenever I was stressed. But then whenever I would give in to this, I would just end up feeling horrible about myself after eating. If this is you, I totally get how you feel, which is why I made this video to tell you exactly what you need to know in order to stop stress eating for good. I'm going to be breaking it down in a way that no one has ever done before, and this was the only way that really helped me understand how to stop stress eating. And if you stick around until the end, I'm going to share how you can use this free tool that I spent hours creating, which you can use to help you stop stress eating today. The first thing you need to do in order to stop stress eating is to recognize when you are about to stress eat. You know how sometimes you would just be working on an assignment or like studying for an exam, and then you would just like mindlessly stress eat, and before you know it, the whole pack of food is gone and you're just there feeling uncomfortably full, your tummy is hurting, and you just feel like you need to take a nap, and you're also still stressed from the assignment or exam that you have to study for. So the problem I was having back then was that I didn't even recognize when I was stress eating. Like, I would just be mindlessly eating. I didn't take the time to stop myself and say like, look, you're stressed right now and eating is not going to solve it. I just automatically turned to food because I wanted that immediate comfort that I got from food. That's what you need to do first of all, is to recognize when you're about to stress eat and stop. If you do recognize when you're about to stress eat but you don't know how to stop, it might be because you don't fully understand what is going on in your brain. When you get stressed, it releases cortisol in your body, and what cortisol does is it sends signals to your brain that you are not safe. Your brain immediately wants to look for comfort. So where is it gonna find that comfort? Food, specifically food that is high in salt, fat, and sugar. So that's why you get cravings for these unhealthy foods. It's because it releases dopamine in the brain, which gives you that temporary feeling of comfort. But the thing is, it only makes you feel good in that moment. And as soon as you're done eating, that dopamine goes away and that stress comes back and you feel even worse about yourself. So how do we actually get out of this dopamine seeking cycle? You firstly need to understand how to respond and not react. I want you to picture yourself carrying a bucket and you're walking outside and it's raining. The rain that's going into the bucket is the stress that is coming into your life. The rain is something that you can't control. So that's why you can't control the stresses that are happening in your life. You can't control the fact that you have an exam coming up or an assignment coming up. You can't control the fact that your train was canceled and you're about to miss it, you know? So there are two things that you can do when the bucket starts filling up. First thing you can do is to just tip the bucket and pour the rainwater out. The second thing you can do is to use a straw and drink the rainwater out of the bucket. Now, which one do you think is going to be more effective? Well, obviously it's gonna be the first one, right? You want to tip the bucket over and not use a straw to drink it. When you use food as a coping mechanism for stress, that's like you using a straw to try to drink the rainwater out of the bucket. It's gonna make it lighter for a little bit, but then it's just gonna end up filling up with rain again. So it's only give you that temporary relief, but it's not gonna get rid of that underlying stress. So what you want to do instead is to pour the rainwater out of the bucket by using better coping mechanisms. I'm gonna give you 5 coping mechanisms that anyone can do. These are the mechanisms that have been the most effective for me as well, and there's also a lot of research to show that these are the most effective to reduce stress eating. These 5 coping mechanisms that I'm gonna give you are immediate changes which you can do whenever you get the urge to stress eat. But then you're also gonna have to do some background changes for it to be fully effective, because if you have one but not the other, then you're not going to get to that root cause of your stress eating. So this is the thing that I've not heard anyone talk about, and I'm gonna explain that in a little bit. So the first coping mechanism that you can do is to write. So this is gonna be journaling. Write down what you're feeling whenever you get the urge to eat something. Are you feeling stressed? Are you feeling bored? Are you feeling, whatever it is, especially when you're feeling stressed, what are you stressed about, and write down if this is something that you can actually control, and write down as well what is the best thing that you can do right now to help you stop feeling stressed. Okay, and don't say eating, because eating is not going to be one of them. We've already covered that. It's only going to make you feel worse about yourself. When you journal, you're actually processing your thoughts in real time so that you're able to make more rational decisions instead of turning to food to use as a coping mechanism. And the second thing you can do is thinking, and thinking by using mindfulness. So this is simply observing your thoughts. You're not even asking yourself any questions. It's not like journaling where you're like going through prompts and trying to make yourself think about why you're doing the things that you're doing. No, you're literally just observing your thoughts non-judgmentally and not letting yourself associate with your thoughts. So maybe you're getting the thoughts like, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed, I need to finish this assignment today, I'm never going to be able to get done, I'm going to be failing my classes, and I'm not going to get a good job, and then my parents going to hate me, my brother's going to hate me, my friends are going to hate me, I'm going to be alone, and I really need to eat right now. It's not about trying to control your thoughts or try to like change anything about them. It's just to observe them. And why this is so helpful is because remember how I talked about how your cortisol levels increase in your brain? Well, doing mindfulness actually calms your brain down. It calms your nervous system down, and it allows you to again think more rationally. So the third thing you can do is breathing. So you can do some breathing exercises. This is also going to calm your nervous system down very quickly. Like my go-to breathing exercise to do is the box breathing method. So it's a 4x4 second breathing method where you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold for 4 seconds, you breathe out for 4 seconds, and you hold for 4 seconds, and you just do that a few times, however many times you want, and that just calms you down, and it like literally it makes you feel less stressed like instantly. So try it out. If you feel like it's not working for you right now, it may be that you just need to practice that. You need to practice that along with mindfulness first, because when I first started doing this I was like, okay, well that didn't help, you know, but like when you really pay attention to your breath, that just brings you into the present moment, because when we're stressed, you're getting anxious, you're getting worried about something bad that could happen in the future. So what focusing on your breath does is it brings you back to the present moment, and that calms your brain down so that you're no longer getting those cravings for food. And that brings me into my fourth point, which is walking. So whenever you get the urge to eat something, just go for a 5-minute walk, you know, or literally just walk down to another part of your house and walk back to wherever you were. And what this is going to do is when you remove yourself from the environment, it gives your brain a chance to reset from whatever you were doing, and so you allow yourself to calm down, you allow yourself to think more rationally, and then you can come back to whatever you were doing. But what this is going to do is it's going to break that pattern of you immediately turning to food right after you get stressed. And the fifth coping mechanism is for you to use my free craving tool, which you can use starting right now. It's going to walk you through step by step exactly what you need to think and exactly what you need to do to help you gain self-control over what you're eating. And I adapted this based off of Dr. Judson Brewer's craving tool. He's a neuroscientist and psychiatrist who spent decades researching behavior, addiction, including food addiction, binge eating, overeating. So he made this tool, but I adapted it to make it more comprehensive. I can guarantee that if you use this enough times, you are going to see a reduction in your urges to stress eat. But if you want to see long-term changes where you really stop stress eating for good, then you're gonna have to implement some background changes. So this involves shifting your identity. You need to stop seeing yourself as someone who stress eats, okay? Stop telling yourself things like, oh yeah, I just eat whenever I get stressed. You need to adopt the identity of someone who doesn't use food for comfort, period. You need to become the kind of person who would always use one of those 5 coping strategies instead of using food to deal with your stress. So instead of telling yourself, I stress eat sometimes, you need to shift this to, I am not the kind of person who stress eats. Because when you adopt this new identity, it's going to be so much easier for you to take action that's in alignment with that. As humans, humans, we never want to do something that doesn't confirm our own identity. So the reason why you're stress eating right now is because subconsciously you believe that you are this kind of person who stress eats. Imagine someone who smokes cigarettes. Someone who smokes has the identity that they are a smoker. But if you don't smoke, on the other hand, then you have the identity of not being a smoker. If you are someone who says, oh, I smoke sometimes, but I don't smoke sometimes, then you're automatically a smoker. And that makes it so much easier for you to give in to that temptation of smoking. But when you have the identity of you are the kind of person who does not smoke, then it's just not even going to be something that crosses your mind because you don't do it. So the same goes for stress eating. To start shifting your identity, you're gonna have to do two things. The first thing is you're gonna have to do affirmations. So keep telling yourself things like, I am not the kind of person who turns to food for comfort. I'm not the kind of person who stress eats. When you do affirmations, you start convincing your subconscious mind that this is actually the new version of you. This is the version of you that you are becoming, and you're getting rid of that old identity. So affirmations, that's the first thing. The second thing you have to do is to do visualization. So imagine yourself, you're using your laptop and you're doing an assignment or something, and then you get stressed, or you suddenly remember that there's this deadline that you have to meet, and imagine yourself going for a walk instead, or journaling, or using my craving tool, and don't imagine yourself turning to food for comfort. You know, when you can start to imagine this, then it makes it so much easier for you to do it. So that's kind of the first step to start shifting your identity. Do these affirmations and visualizations every single night before you go to bed, and over time it's going to make it much easier for you to not use food as a coping mechanism. So both of these immediate and background strategies are essential for your long-term success if you want to stop stress eating. But all of these tips that I've just shared aren't going to be as effective unless you watch my video on why you overeat and how to stop. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!